Okay, I'm on recorder. And then right afterwards, I think you can share it and it saves the whole thing.
Hmm.
Double check. Does yours say anything? I think it's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Okay, well, my name's Hannah Sita. I just finished a rehearsal for a big show for Circus LA. I'm working on my tryouts right now, and part of my side project is that I sell and run aerial yoga teaching programs.
Hmm.
And I've come to you because I feel like in your mindful practice, you are going to really benefit by using the aerial fabrics to basically take your patients out of the environments that they're in and get them into that mindful practice faster by letting them kind of like melt away the barriers so they can get to the real stuff, which is like them and working on themselves. So I had a few questions for you first. I wanted to find out that do you feel when you are with your patients or your clients or when you're talking to people in the mindful practice, do you feel like it's ideal to have that quiet, cozy space in order for someone to be into that mindfulness?
Honestly, as long as there's quiet,
Mm-hmm.
then for me, I believe that's sufficient.
It's
So
efficient.
whether that falls in what you're suggesting as well, then yeah.
And then do you feel that it's pretty important that that in a mindful practice and a mindful lifestyle that you be physically active? Like you need a physical practice?
Maybe not in a mindful lifestyle, but I think in general, I think you do absolutely have to have, a physical lifestyle and exercise at least a couple of times a week. Yeah.
And is one of your hardest issues that you have for people getting into that mindful practice is them making the time and the space to go there?
The time, yes. The space, not so much. But
People like committing and making the time to do
yeah,
it.
just giving them a strong enough
Drive.
motivation to make them want to try and sit down and meditate.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. I think a lot of maybe understanding what aerial fabric is, we do a restorative program that we teach, and what it is basically it's like sitting in a hammock, and so you go into these hammocks, and it's amazing because people come in and we do a meditation class in the hammock, so you're basically levitated off the ground. You go into this hammock, and it's like your own little cloud forest, and people can just sit in them and they can relax, they can meditate, they can go through their spiritual practice, they can do a physical movement. In your business, I feel like it allows people to go to that zone faster. And when you're in the fabric and you're doing movement, basically it wipes away like any barriers. So I think the biggest thing we find is like when I think of meditation, usually I think it like I don't have the time, I don't have the space to come to it. And I also feel like this resistance, like my mind just won't shut up.
Hmm.
And you find that resistance. So I feel like the fabric could be a tool that you could use in your business where you could be like, hey, I've got this place where you can go. You can hang this fabric in your house anywhere you need to. You don't need a meditation room. You go inside the fabric, you sit inside of it. It's your own cloud forest. It gets
Hmm.
you past all your resistance faster, and gets you to that state of like mindfulness where you can just relax, you can surrender and be just there in that moment and go through whatever you need to go through. Because I feel like you have to, if you really want a really strong mindful practice, you kind of have to leave your environment because we're always distracted by our environment. So for my practice and mindfulness, if I just sit like in my house and know it's quiet, I'm still distracted. And I feel like only until I leave my environment can I really get work done. And I feel like the fabric gives people that small little like moment of like being locked in a closet where like there is no distractions, there is nothing, and you can be in that moment with yourself and go through any work that you need to go through, or just detach from the industry for a moment. Um, so in your practice, when you do is just kind of going through your online website, like you do one-on-one coaching. Basically, do you do webinars with people, or do you actually make like one-on-one where they come in and sit with you?
Online
Mostly.
and face to face,
Hmm.
and in front of an audience,
Yeah.
you know, corporate or
So
that
when you
kind
do
of.
your corporate thing, is it more like sitting in a room and everybody's just kind of being quiet and you kind of take them through like a meditational practice then? Is that how it facilitates? I'm trying to figure out, I guess, how it
I like to
facilitates.
frame it as like more of a TED Talk slash interactive
Okay.
meditation. Yeah.
So it's more like meditation education then.
Yeah.
Okay. So what if, like, ideally, like, someone walks into a room instead of maybe sitting on a chair and being educated, they walk in and there's like 20 fabrics hanging from the ceiling and they look like these little cocoons and everyone's like, what is this shit? Because most of it's going to be unidentifiable. And you can hang them low enough so they'd be up chair height, basically. And everyone would sit in these like little cocoons and they'd be like, what? And all of a sudden you bring them in, you get them instructed into this seat position and you close them off in this little like lotus pose. And they're all in these little cocoons, and you can probably see this visually, and I can send you more visual information on this. And everybody, all of a sudden, you've already taken them out of their environment. You've taken them out of it. They don't look at anybody else. They don't even have to close their eyes, but they're in their own world. And then you start talking, and then you start making your story, and you start teaching them. But you take them out of their environment right away, so they can't be those narratives that aren't true, you know, about ourselves, and the barriers already gone. Because I think the biggest thing is like resistance and trying to get to the media of the stuff. And I feel like that would be an amazing way to like sell your product by adding aerial fabrics or by changing the environment right away, not having to take them to a retreat or everything. But that's kind of how your guys' practice, when I think about it, is like, oh, I have to go to a retreat to find my mindfulness. When I feel like I can give you a fabric and install them for you, teach you basic movements, and then you can use that tool to facilitate getting your patients, you know, to faster mindfulness than anybody else in your practice.
But what is it exactly? So you're talking about like sometimes you see it in the gym, like that you hang from it and it spins around. And am I meant to be following a practice and doing movements, or I just freestyle it, or
like, do this? No.
Is it dangerous?
I know everyone would say it was dangerous. So it's not dangerous, and especially as you lower the fabrics to about like sitting height. You would think about it, I guess the best way, if you've never seen aerial yoga or seen like the aerial fabrics, it'd be like sitting in a hammock. So like a beach hammock. And like, remember like when you sit in a beach hammock or a swing, there's like this moment where you just start swinging and you start moving and you're like, I don't know, something just happens. You hit that zone. So the fabrics wouldn't be something that's like technical that you had to be a trainer to facilitate them in any way. It'd be more a prop that you use, like a prop like your singing bowls or your incense or your crystal pink lights. I'm trying to give you like a product that's going to make you different in your industry, because you can get people out of their state, whatever their state is. Like we all have our narratives, our stories, our barriers. And I think like a massage therapist, half of their practice when they're doing massage is just trying to get people to relax. And then they can actually get to working on the muscle. But people are so tight and tense, and then they have to use like gadgets and rollers. And then finally they can actually get to the fascia and at that point really work on people. And I feel like mindfulness, when you do coaching like that, it's the same. Like you're going to get on a call with me, and then like you're going to have to go through all these procedures or these one-on-one like talking to really get to like the issue of like, what is my resistance? And I feel like if you can put people in these little swinging hammocks and kind of get them into a state where they can let go of some of that stuff, which you'll feel when you get in the fabrics is something like a zone basically, then you can get to the idea of like really getting to mindfulness and get to all the juicy stuff of really helping people. So I feel like for all of us, the half of the battle is just like getting people's narratives out of the way and then like getting to really what's important in life. But the fabrics, you wouldn't need anything to facilitate them. You could just use them as sitting. Like your whole thing would be good. And it's decompression, the therapeutics of it we haven't even talked about, which you could add into your practice. Like, hey, you're decompressing your spine. If you decided you wanted to invert these people to like flip their shit, like flip your shit, let's flip your story. You could invert them, and like the whole crowd would go crazy, because the last time they all inverted on a swing was when they're like 2 years old, 3 years old, you know? So how do you change your story? Let's do it right now. Let's do it in this environment. Let's, you know, do it in the fabric. And then I want you to do that in your head now, you know? And like you could use like parallels with that. Because I feel with mindful practice, like, especially in education, there's so many of you guys doing it, and some of you guys, it's just such a niche-y area, and like it's gotten so saturated. Like everyone's a spiritual guru, and like I'm in the yoga community, so I see all these mindful leaders, and they're always trying to teach stuff, and I want to be like, okay, take me out of my environment for a second, and then get me there. You know, like get me to levitate first, and then teach me. You know, I think that would be something that you could niche and maybe sell. It just depends how you teach your message, or if you feel like you get people there, or if you hit any resistance, I guess, when you're teaching people.
Yeah. And so is it per how would you rent it out? Is there a contract? Is there
So what we do is we would come in. We have a constructional engineer on our team, and we come in and we basically do all of the installment for you. So like it could be something as simple as like a one studio practice. So I work with physical therapists already. I have massage therapists I've worked with. I work with people that love fabric and just personally want one in their house for the therapeutics of like decompression and just they're relaxing. It's their meditation room. So for massage therapists, we'll come in and usually we'll hang up like one or two. We just hung up in a Waldorf school here. So we came in and set up one for kids in their classrooms. So we installed like maybe like 20 or 30 fabrics from the ceiling. And then, we come in, we teach classes. We either come in and teach classes one-on-one and instruct you, or we basically get you to the point with video tutorials that you're able to instruct your clients to get to where they need to go. But
so what's the price then?
The price on this is depending. Usually the fabrics and everything is going to sell for about $300. But what we also have in our price is that it's going to have to depend on your structure of your building, and that can vary anywhere from $200 up to $1,000 depending on how much we need to reinstall and rig you. Because we're completely safe, we're completely insured, and everything that we do really gets you to make sure you're safe. Because the worst thing that would happen is that you buy fabric and then just rig it up on your ceiling and not have any clue what you're doing. And that's something that I definitely am trying to stop in the industry, where people are just rigging in and not being safe with wearing fabrics. So that's what we push. So price bracket in the packages we sell, we directly sell the fabrics in the rigging equipment for about $300, $200 depending on what you need for your ceiling height. So price
is that selling or renting?
It's going to be selling. Our renting fees are usually contracts of about a year. So we do contract out for years. It just depends. We only do that if you're going to go over about 10 to 15 fabrics. We do a renting kind of lease thing. So it just depends what you would need for your practice and for your, talks and your convention things that you do.
All right.
So I think, it'd just be basically for you, I think it's just deciding how, I guess I'd find out, when you go through people and you work with them in your practice, and when you do, let's say I would see this more maybe in your like one-on-one trainings to start for you, and then maybe taking it big scale. Do you have a room that you use right now for like everybody coming in? Like let's say you're doing a one-on-one. Do you have like a little?
I do currently no, I do not have a space.
You don't have a space, so most of it's done basically. So we might even get you set. It would be even kind of fun to get you set, and you could just hang one up that you sit in for when you're doing the talk.
I would before I could sign off on anything, I would absolutely have to try it, and I'd absolutely have to love it first. So that would be the only prerequisite.
It would definitely be huge. So I mean, the biggest push for us would either be sending you like a video tutorial. Sometimes what we'll do is we will come around and install one for you to try and to start to play with it. It would just be a matter if you feel like there's that value in it, that you want to be better than anyone else in your practice, because you can get people to mindfulness faster and it doesn't take as much time. So you have to find that value and like the open-mindedness to try it. I think that would be the hugest thing.
All right. And just given the is there anything that you can do with price?
With price,
it's a bit tight at the moment. The UK exit,
The biggest thing that I can do is I can't lower the cost at all for you for the fabric, but as long as we can work on doing a trade, I'm really huge on wanting you to be the best in your industry and wanting to really help everyone get to mindful practice. So I'm right there on the mission with you. The best thing that I would do for you right now is that we would come in and install this fabric. In return, we need free media from you. You would have to promote free media for us, showing us that you use the fabric and it's helping your clients. So we're always willing to do contracts that way. So if you're interested in something like that.
Well, could I it sounds very interesting, and I would like to offer a counter suggestion.
Okay, let's go for it.
Just given what you do and given what I do. And here's my pitch to follow.
Okay, go for it.
I do believe there is a lot of synergy in what we do, and mindfulness, following my podcast has become kind of not only my passion but a way of life for me now. So I'm very keen on and interested in helping to share it with other people. And actually, that's one of my goals. And I think, I guess the people that you connect with in your clientele, as you mentioned, you see tons of mindfulness people in your line of work, right? But there is a little slight misunderstanding as to what mindfulness really is and the purpose of practicing a meditation. So when I meditate, I'm not there just to close my mind and just try and let my mind be clear. I'm actually doing a specific exercise. I'm focusing on my thoughts.
Yeah.
And for a lot of us, that's hard to do because we have like 70,000 every day, just continuously coming. As soon as you wake up, thoughts. What am I going to do today? What am I going to eat? Da, da, da.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's non-stop, right? And just having that constant flow all the time. So in that 10 minutes or 15 minutes where you are meditating, or however long a session that it is for your aerial stuff, it's during that specific moment you are focusing all your attention on just watching your thoughts. And as you notice a thought like, oh, my back hurts, or this feels weird, or why am I doing this? You notice it as a thought, take a breath and watch it pass. And you just you rinse and repeat throughout the whole meditation. So the whole purpose of that meditation is not to try and block it out, but it's to notice it, but don't judge it.
Yeah.
And by repeating that, you actually physically grow a muscle in your brain. Right? The amygdala shrinks, which is your fight and flight. And the newer parts of your brain, your frontal cortex, that grows. And what that does is, that space perhaps that you were talking about, where you are in a bit of state of flow, that state can only be reached when you are in this present moment, which does come from practicing and exercising that. So I guess my suggestion to you, as part of this practice, is, my 8-week course is also £300, not dollars. I believe you were talking in dollars, right?
Yeah, dollars.
Yeah, the pound's pretty weak now anyway, so it's a lot of value.
Like, no, not your currency.
But I mean, genuinely, my 8-week course is priced. I've initially priced it at £300. So I thought to begin with, what we could possibly do is an exchange.
Okay.
To allow me the opportunity to go through an 8-week course with you.
Yeah.
In exchange for what you have offered to me previously. And, as part of that, I mean, the idea of actually for mindfulness is happiness. That is the ultimate goal. I just led an 8-week happiness course, and I wish to bring in some of the fundamental aspects that was learnt on that, and a bit of the science around the brain as to what happens when you are in a state of that concentration of meditation every day, like improving your immune system, lowering your blood pressure, etc. All these are a direct result of this practice. So I would like that to be able to share that with you over the 8 weeks. And then maybe get to a point where I, with my clientele and my listeners on my podcast, offer and introduce, your offering. And perhaps you could also figure out a way to reciprocate that on your end.
I mean, to me, I think we are totally on the same page in that I think that you're trying to get people to the same place in their minds, and I'm always trying to work people to the same place in their body. Like, let go of your story, like, get into movement, because the aerial fabric moves you on a cellular level, which a lot of practices won't. So I totally am on, like, the same level with you. I think the biggest thing for me in doing the offering, because for me, the mindful practice, I don't know enough about. I know all the physical and therapeutic benefits of it. I think I almost would need you more as like a leader in my practice. If we, like, I actually thought about this before on the call. I was like, if I could podcast you over, like, like you would do a Skype call to my classes. Because for me, a lot of times, like, I'll get them there, and I do like a restorative, gentle, like, if you thought about restorative yoga, I don't know if you know what restorative yoga is. Like, it's that gentle, whatever. They just move and they do gentle stuff, and they're supported. And there's candles and it's dim light, and then they, like, basically almost fall asleep in the fabrics. Like, it's that, like, soothing, and it almost feels like you're back in the womb. That's what people will tell you. Like, they just feel cradled, and they feel safe, and it just feels soft, and they're levitating, and they're not bound to this earth anymore, just kind of like your mind. And, like, the more they practice that letting go of all their shit, they find themselves, and that's, like, such a beautiful thing, or they let go of those stories. But I almost need like a medical, I mean, if I did it, it would be something where I would need you to teach me to be mindful, because for me to, in that moment, they go into Savasana and they have like 15 minutes or whatever to meditate, to be in their space. But a lot of times for me, it's finding the words to say something in that, and sometimes I don't say anything. But it would be, I would need like you to be either to come across on like Skype and start talking to all the students. And then
so what I would say to that
is, like almost like an online like trade that way, where you can actually start to really affect my students. And if you see it affecting my students, I want to give you back the fabrics that you can actually take to all your retreats or your conventions, or when you get your space to start doing your one-on-one. So like you said, you can get people there faster into that mindful state. Like I already got them there. Now I just need somebody to talk to them. That's what I'm saying. I'm on the opposite spectrum. I can get them to that relaxed, eased state very fast, and then I don't have the mindful plug of whatever educational value I want to give them. Usually it's some kind of movement expression or value, like knowledge I give them. But I would love to find that like being an asset, but I just don't know how it would be conversated.
So what if I just suggested this then? Is that for every, those students of yours that you find that you want to share, you want them to get introduced to mindfulness, we pitch them the 8-week course, and then you would get a cut from every person that signed up for the 8-week course.
Yeah. I'm like, it's definitely something that could totally possibly happen. I just have to, it has to come from me.
I need to take you through an 8-week course, because I need to convince you, because you are not yet convinced.
Because in the industry I have so
much. I already know what mindfulness is, and yes, but it's like,
exactly,
if you knew what mindfulness is, it would blow your mind away.
I have so many people that are like, oh, can I come to your class? They're like mindful coaches. Like I'm in the most saturated area of like, I'm mindful, like I charge this much.
You meditate on a daily basis.
Do I? I don't meditate on a daily basis.
Okay.
I feel like I have definitely done it. I try to do some transcendental meditation because it was like the hip thing to try at the moment. But I don't meditate in that, but I find time for space. I don't know. I have bath time time. And that's kind of my meditation time, where I just slow down and I go through my thoughts in my head and I just have a moment. But I also do a lot of
but that's work. Going through thoughts. I'm talking about when you're specifically
not, like,
noticing the thought. But that's the whole point of the meditation. And a lot of people think that chilling out in the bath, it feels comfortable. I can relax. Yeah. But there is something very concrete, and the science backs it, of us allocating a period during the day where you meditate. And not only that, but you're actually noticing your thoughts as they pass, and you start to question, well, who is the person that is noticing the thoughts? Yeah. It gets very profound and very spiritual, and it helps you to, as far as your ego is concerned and how you judge yourself and how you perceive others, it has this amazing revealing qualities where you just keep learning more about yourself, and it keeps expanding, and it's very, very, the word that I use is spiritual.
Yeah, I think like I'm exactly your target audience, because like I'm in the spiritual practice. Like I have all those people that are ready there, like on the edge of like wanting more. But then we have this mindset, like I just said, like I feel like I have to go to my bathtub
But that's a thought, right?
It's a thought, but that's because
it's a pattern.
It's a pattern because that's like my quiet spot. But I feel like I almost have to be, or like I feel like the only way I'm going to get to my mindfulness is like if I go to a retreat in Costa Rica. So that's my pitch, is like you have to entice me to an environment.
So what if I could tell you that you don't have to have a bath and you don't have to go anywhere? It is available to you in the present moment.
Yeah.
And I would like to show you how that is possible.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely...
I see the resistance. And I get it. Loads of people that I speak to are just saying, they're like, yeah, I kind of know it's going to be a waste of my time.
But guys tell me, being like, Will, I've got this fabric where you go in and levitate, and then we can get you there. And I hate the idea that you always have to like sell bells and whistles to like get people there. But I feel like you have to understand like my ignorance, like you, in order to, and not like a bad way. Like, and I have to do this with like my movement audience too. Is like, okay, they're at that like ignorance level of knowledge, and like that's why I'm here to educate them. But I'm gonna have to maybe snaggle them in a shallow way. So I also, when I do my classes, I do a huge social media pool. For more of like my flips, and not my flips in my classes, but more of my movement classes. So we do like video drones So I will pull in more people to my classes, maybe just based on the social media videoing that I do, and I give out after classes because everybody wants their picture taken when they're upside down. Like, that's why people will come to class, just to have their picture so they can post it on social media to get their dopamine. And if that motivates people off the couch, I'm totally okay with that because at least they're moving. But I don't, like, at that stage, I don't judge, like, where they're at mentally. Like, that's just where they're at. But they're getting there. They're slowly getting there. And I think that's the same thing for, like, me. Like, I'm ready for a mindful practice, but I'm, like, resistant, like you said. But I think you're going to have to, like, you know, like, leave little breadcrumbs to get me to there. And I think you're going to have to do it from, like, using, like, the shallow tools that you see half the industry already using, like, you need to come to my resort, you need to use this crystal necklace and candle. And I know that's all bullshit and it doesn't matter because you don't need all that, but it's like, it's how people have already set up the industry. So that's my attitude. Like, that's all I know is like, oh shit, I need my mandala bracelet before I can start, you know? So I guess like fabric in that way is kind of adding that same kind of story, but it gets you to your clients, you know, and it gets them maybe to a space where they're actually levitating where no other mandala bead, you know, crystal light bulb or anything's doing. But I just feel like that's just the way you that's just the way you have to educate. Like,
no, and I know, and I've been called patronizing at times because I'm trying to, you know, because it means so much to me, and I know it because I've got like my vegan friends and my vegetarian friends, you know, they'll make you know that they're vegan, you know, but, you know, so I respect people's distance, and you know, with Brian's, you know, multiple emails, you know, where you kind of slowly over a course, over a couple of emails and a couple of weeks, you know, kind of keep introducing small ideas, and like you said, you don't want to, because this, you know, this is a big thing, and you know, it does take several conversations almost to get someone to, you know, to really commit to want to do it.
Yeah.
But what I will say on my final point, I guess, my concluding point on this, is that 20% of companies this year in the States apply some kind of mindfulness training. And Fidelity Investments claim that by 2018, 40% of companies will. It's being applied now in schools all across the world, especially in the UK and the States, in the prison system. Our national health system here in the UK now applies mindfulness. Google, the Bank of England, Skype, LinkedIn, all do some kind of mindfulness. So there's a reason why, right? It's not just fad. But I believe that the main benefits that you can withdraw from mindfulness, that's not even why these companies are doing it. That's for productivity and, you know, all the stuff that helps in an office environment.
That's what they're selling, yeah.
Yeah, not so many days that they take off due to sickness and all that, but really the benefits are far superior and far greater, and yet it's starting to take a massive hold, and it's just doing this. There's a reason why. The science is all behind it, and you know, and I think with the practice, someone like you will benefit extremely from it. So.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely interested. I think I'm definitely interested. I'm just still at that point where
you've got too much bad. There's too much bad connotations.
I know, like,
mindfulness. I can see it tainted. Let me clear that away for you. You know.
I know. I'm just like, oh god, another spiritual guru. No, I totally.
Well, I don't claim to be an expert, by the way. I am not an expert.
I know that's what everybody. That's like it's tough because it is just tough. It's just the industry and stuff. But it's just how it's going to be. You're going to have to stack the industry. But yeah, no, I'm definitely interested. And it's so funny, like going through everyone. Like when I started to do the sales call, I was like, oh my gosh, we're actually kind of basically in the same industry.
Well, I think that's why Brian paired this team together.
I was like, did he purposely pair us together? And then I was on the call with Jonathan, who does scaffolding, and basically his is like artwork in the air, and like mine is like movement practice in the air. So we actually had like a lot in common about like rigging structures. So it's kind of interesting.
That could be a whole market for you then.
I know, rigging off of scaffolds.
Yeah.
And then you can be on a loudspeaker doing mindful talk to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my biggest thing is actually, because I'm really techie into the social like stuff of that, and like I get a lot of pull from my clients. But I'm. Like, what
are you into?
Well, I do a lot of drone stuff. I'm really into drones because of aero photography and we needing them when we're up in the air. But I basically, for me in networking, it would be more like I almost need you to like either do like a live like feed into my class where you speak like a meditational like session. For like 5 minutes, are you like give me more like this would be like my resistance, like maybe not to sign up to your package yet, but I want to see if what you're saying.
No, but I would have to sell it to you first.
Yeah.
It's like in this education system, they have to get the teachers on board first before they go to the students. Otherwise, there's no point. If the teachers that don't get it or thinking they're trying to encourage their students to be part of it, it's not as powerful as if the teacher really embodies it as well and gets it.
Yeah.
And then that's the best way. So.
Yeah.
And I don't do 5 minutes here and there. I'm more. That's not ideally. I prefer like this. Like face-to-face dialogue, where I can answer questions on the fly and we can talk about it rather than them just closing their eyes and listening to me speak. That's not so much what I'm offering.
Yeah.
You see.
But how do you get? So your pitch is just basically. I mean, this is probably off the topic, but so when you do for your landing page, like how are you doing like any little webs or anything like that? Like if I wanted to take your business card right now and like I was interested in the program but also wanted to share it with other people, it would just be for like one-on-one coaching. Like that's all. That's just you're not adding. What's the free product? Like what's the little niche products before the?
Yeah, so it is one-on-one.
Yeah.
But it's not so much a one-on-one. Like what Brian's doing when you can get like 10 people up on the screen.
Yeah.
Where they get one of those a week plus a one-on-one with me a week online. This is all virtual, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then so that's an 8-week course because that's how long it takes for the brain to grow. There's also corporate where it's it's $3,000 for per month, and that's the retainer fee.
Okay.
And I mean, my main thing is podcasts. I've been podcasting for 3 years.
Yeah. No.
So I'm getting some really cool people now.
No, that's awesome. No, I think that's really cool. Yeah, because podcasting is great. There's a lot of people podcast around here.
You should do a podcast as well.
I actually, I have a friend that I work in the movement field and we do stuff. I actually am more interested in doing a TED Talk. So that's like kind of where I'm pushing. I don't have time because I work as a doctor, so I'm like extremely busy. This is just another job for me, which I enjoy a lot. So, but yeah, I don't have enough time right now. So.
But it could be a full-time job.
I know it could be.
Well, that's why I'm doing my thing. I mean, I'm planning out how much money do I need every month, and how many of these would I need to sell, and how many of this would I sell. And if I can make as much as I'm making now, then that would just be good enough for me to go and just leave my job now.
Yeah.
When you start to break down, I only need like 10 people to sign up. I can get 10 people. I've got like thousands of listeners on my podcast, and so just 10 of them paying 300 will get that, and then all of a sudden it starts falling into place. You're like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And then.
Yeah.
I think someone like your podcast where you just weekly grows and grows, and then you can still do a TED Talk. But what that does is your audience is just you'll be surprised at how big that will grow as opposed to just having an account where they see pictures and stuff like that.
How long have you been doing your mindful practice now? Like doing the podcast you said about 3 years?
3 years. I didn't know what mindfulness was 3 years ago. But 2.5 years ago I was introduced to it and I've been meditating for like 2 years now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And Jon Kabat-Zinn, who introduced it to the West, has been on my podcast twice now.
That's really cool. Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah.
The leading neuroscientist behind all this has been on my podcast. So, I'm really balls deep, as they say in England.
Yeah, no, the whole neuroscience is super, super big down here right now. And people getting on board with, like, the actual...
It's everywhere. It can't be denied anymore.
Yeah, so it's pretty big. Yeah, but okay, perfect.
All right.
I know I have to get to work. I'm trying to think if there's anything we need to rebuttal. But yeah, no, I'm actually interested in like finding out more about your product. So I mean, yeah, that's where I would.
And to be honest, I haven't. It was actually just an app, a couple of days ago, and I've spoken to a few of my friends that kind of like got me in to do the courses and the corporate stuff. So I was just talking as if that was already happening, but in fact, that's just kind of something my core products that I want to develop.
Yeah.
And I've been onto like loads of sites from these like companies, and they all have like a well-being tab where they all like it's becoming like I said, 40% in 2 years are going to offer just a bit of mindfulness at work, not just well-being, but specifically mindfulness.
Well, over here, I don't know the same over there for like social work, but depending on your corporation, if you're over like 50 people, you have to have a health promotion. It's like for tax write-off and rebates, and part of like the like healthcare system here, like you have to be able to offer something. And usually most places offer like $300 rebates that you get to use to, for a gym. Like it's not a lot, but it's still like you get like $300 that you have to use and you bring back the receipts.
That's cool.
So like the hospital, we have one where like you can do like acupuncture or you can go get massages and things like that. So, I mean, it wasn't there like 2 years ago and now it is. So it's cool. Like it's a little allowance that they do, and then I think they do like they meet their credentials for health promotion programs.
So then you should totally be doing what I'm doing then. You know, you just reach out to the HR team and just say, hey guys, have you got a well-being program?
yeah. So my
You know,
thing
check out this video, and then just sort of explains your product. You know, all the stuff you've been doing for Brian. Have a little video, and that's almost your CV.
yeah.
Do
My
you know what I
thing
mean?
is has to do with, I mean, we go in and we rig, but it's a lot. It's a little bit more invasive. So, like construction wise,
Oh, so if you wanted to make millions out of this, and if you wanted this to, you know, if you were to leave your job this year,
yeah.
you know, and be really successful, what would it take? You know, what kind of projects would you need, and do you have the resources to do it?
I basically need to get a fabric installed in everybody's home. Like in that sense, like do I have the resources? I just want everybody to be able to use the fabric and the equipment to get to whatever state they need. If it's a mindful practice, if it's a zone where they want to work out,
Hmm.
and then having that like online tutorial course used because aerial's just a hard. It's
But that sounds very individual, though, isn't it? What about like, you know, economies of scale, like doing it in I guess the obvious one is gyms and halls and stuff where you can have multiple, and I guess people come there.
So the thing about installing it right now, it's so new. Like it's taking off. But like I don't know, you can type in line and find. I think there's some studios actually in London, but there's not enough teachers to facilitate it. So when I go into like a gym, like I basically would bring the product in, and then you also have to bring in a teacher training program and find people that want to do it and teach it. So you're selling that, and then like you leave. So like if I came to London and opened up one at your like neighborhood gym, like nobody's gonna know what it is. I'd have to like advertise, set up a teacher training program, get people ready and coached to teach and stuff. I mean, it's a huge process. It's not the end of the world. People just, I think, don't know enough about aerial yoga yet to be like, what is it? But I mean, it is like one of the newer workout kind of things that you can do, and like it's taking yoga to a new level, that kind of stuff. It's just so new. I mean, for a lot of people,
But
and then, but I don't know.
but ideally, where would it? Where is that? Where you would like to see it?
For me, like I already in the industry, like I've been in it for about 5 years, and like a huge head starter over here in San Diego, California. So I've
Hmm.
already opened, like I've already helped open 5 studios down here and done most of like their rigging. So I've built their structures out. I already run aerial teacher training programs, and
Hmm.
like I teach a lot. It's just been a lot of hustle. And for
Hmm.
me, like I already feel like I have a brand and I have a network. I
Hmm.
already have my email list and stuff, and it's now kind of just finding like other products I think to like sell them.
Yeah,
Um,
so you can almost like not have to work every
so
day and
it's
just
just a
let
lot
the.
of hustle. Like I teach like maybe 11 or 12 classes. I have like I just finished a teacher training like a 2 week teacher training this last week. I start kids camp, so I have a whole kids program that I run. I have a geriatrics program I run for water therapy. Like I mean, I have a bunch of programs set up. It's just getting to the point where like I can't keep working 18-hour days. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out how to brand a little bit more because I've just done this all just from hustle, like not even having a website, just talking to people, getting people excited about it, like things like that. So now I'm kind of like not so much. I'm kind of trying to scale back and like fill in like the things that I didn't do before, like
Yeah.
getting your landing pages and your brands and stuff, um, things like that. So I don't know.
All
I don't
right.
know how I'm
Good.
going to totally scale it yet. It's kind of a tough one because it's getting the audience. It's a new audience. And
But it sounds so cool. You should really think big, you know, and work backwards.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it gets into like there are some regulations of hanging fabrics and corporations, building
But
structures.
I'm sure whatever the obstacles are, you would be the best person to deal with them
It'll be
in your
good.
industry. So
But yeah, you're gonna have to find a niche. I think yours is gonna be a lot about partnershiping, maybe with other companies, like other people. But yeah,
no, I believe mine's going to be
you
huge.
think it's gonna be
I
huge?
truly,
Just
I
corporate
absolutely do.
people. There's,
Not only the. I mean, I'm actually developing an app with an 8 week meditation,
yeah, cool.
and like I said, my network. I mean, I podcast for a charity called Action for Happiness, and like they had the Dalai Lama come and speak at their event last year,
Yeah,
and they got me the interview with John Kabat-Zinn and all these amazing people that now come to my podcast. And
yeah,
so within the mindfulness world, it's, you know, I am becoming a KPI.
that's great. No, I'm really
You know, I've just like 3 years of hard graft, and it's starting. I'm building my own podcast studio. Will be ready in 2 weeks.
yeah,
Um, And this stuff that I'm doing corporate and all that's just immediately to get me out of my job now and getting some revenue coming in. But I sincerely believe that the Headspace app, the one that I'm using, the meditation app, is valued at £30 million now.
Yeah.
And not to say that I'm going to be anywhere near that, but I'm saying there's a huge demand, and it's just more and more people trying to.
See, like everybody's looking on how to like detach. Like that industry, it's super huge. Like, I think everybody wants to detach for just a moment, so everybody's looking for it. Yep.
Everyone doesn't know that. It's just so easy to do it.
Yeah.
We are constantly in thought, and it's just finding that peace. But anyway,
I know.
I need to go.
I know, I gotta go to work. No, thank you so much for your time. It was good to talk to you. Let me see. Don't hang up. Let me see. Like, I think it's right here.
I don't think anyone's going to watch this. 42 minutes long.
No, well, that's the same thing that happened with ours. Like, but then I looked at everybody else's, and everybody else's were like 2 hours. I was like, okay, we're doing good.
No, but if I was going to sell to someone about my course, it would be this long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it
would be like this.
Because I feel like you had to kind of like go on and study, and I'm like, I don't know if you've never, because he said to kind of like ad lib, like pretend like the people have tried aerial yoga and stuff. So I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me see if I can do this right now. Does it say? Let's see. I want to share it. Does yours say share on it for the Skype? Or at least we gotta send the screensaver.
Oh no, you just shared your screen.
I just shared my screen. Dang it.
Yeah.
I have it on audio recorded, so if I have to put it up there, I will. Okay. I don't know. I feel like you're supposed to be able to share it. Let me check one more thing here. I don't play around on Skype a lot, but that's what everyone told me to use.
Okay, well, you know what? Whether it goes up or not, we can say we've done it. And I found it very useful. And like I said, I'm still kind of trying to get into the habit of pitching this stuff as well.
I know. Okay, perfect, Lab. I have it on call. I just don't have it with a video, but I'll see where we can go with it. But yeah, perfect.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lab. Bye.
All right, take care. Bye.